So today, we're working on a kitchen. We had to move this microwave over because I put all the upper cabinets in here. And then we did the lowers after we did the uppers. And when I did the lowers, I had to pad this cabinet out an inch to make this drawer get by this doorway. But the uppers were already installed, and I only put a little bit of filler in there, maybe half an inch, 3/4. And this one down here is like 1 1/4 inches or whatever. So we had to add this 1-inch filler to make the microwave centered over the stove because it was off 1 inch. So we're in the process of doing that. And I'm fixing this alarm system because we had to build, we totally gutted this whole place and we had to build this door out with an extension jam. So, because there was actually, this whole kitchen was paneling, 1/4 inch paneling. So when we took off the 1/4 inch paneling and put on our 1/2 inch rock, it held us out quite a bit here. And the paneling here was already padded out. So we had to add in I don't know, 3/8 extension jam, and then with the trim on there, it kind of moved all this stuff out. So we're just moving out this transponder here so that the security system will work. So this has been a pretty good build. We totally gutted this whole kitchen down to the studs, re-insulated it, ran some new wires. We installed like under cabinet lighting. You know, dimmable. Looks pretty good. You know, everything's on a dimmer in this kitchen. We installed these recessed lights here. Really lights up the place. We got a new fan up there. We vaulted the ceiling. This used to be a flat ceiling. It was only about 86 inches tall, right to the top of that line. So it was pretty low. I mean, you can almost hit your head on the existing fan, you know. And so yeah, we're waiting on countertops with the COVID-19 virus. The countertop people have been held up for forever, pretty much, you know. And so yeah, that's it. So we're trying to get this cabinet up here. We got one screw up there. So what I use these recessed countersink bits here. They come in different sizes. I mean, if you look at these, you know, you can buy this kit here. This is a small one, bigger and bigger. And really, it just has to do with whatever you're drilling through. So, since we already had this cabinet installed, we're reinstalling it. So, I mean, if you use a big one like this, you could probably get away with it. But sometimes you got a little tiny piece of trim here, and if you use this in a little tiny piece, you come through this edge here. So, you know, it depends what size you want to use. Like a smaller one like this won't go through the edge, you know, it's not long enough. And with this, you're using a smaller screw too. You're using maybe a 2-inch screw, where up here we're using 2.5s. And when you install these cabinets, really, an old guy told me once, it's the fingernail trick. You should be able to slide your finger over all these joints. You can see there's like 2 joints here, both ways. If your fingernail gets caught and it stops anywhere, then it's not flush enough. They call it the fingernail test. Like down here, this is off a little. As we get up here, it slides over, but this very bottom's off. So what we're gonna do is, well, I guess I never put that screw in there. We're going to, first we're gonna put this upper screw in. We're gonna get this to line up. I already pre-drilled this. So the other thing with pre-drilling with one of these bits is it gives you a pilot hole from this piece to this piece. So really, I could almost lose the clamp here, which I'm not going to because this cabinet's only hung on by a clamp. When you get that pilot hole, it'll line the cabinet up. I think I was going for this earlier. This is just a bigger thing. I added that filler strip so there's no hole going from this existing cabinet here into this piece, so we're going to create a hole. And the reason you do this is because these cabinets are made out of maple, so it's a very hard wood. And if you just try to drill through here, you're not going to do it. These screws are going to break, or you're going to split the wood. So you always have to have some kind of pilot hole and before you start screwing. Another good trick is wet your screw, or old guys used to use a bar of soap. I just put some saliva on it so it slides in there. And really, the threads of the screw shouldn't even be grabbing your cabinet. The thread should never be grabbing this cabinet. They should only be grabbing this. You should be able to shove this screw in and it should wiggle back and forth in there before hitting this cabinet. Your thread should only grab this. If your threads are grabbing this cabinet, you need to drill it out again or more or something like that, you know? Oh, that's not quite tight, but we can tighten it up a little more. There we go. So now that's tight. I think we're going to just get this leveled up a little better here before we get too crazy. And I'm gonna put a screw in. I got a level mark there, so we're gonna be all right here if we just screw this in. They give you these cabinet screws with these big heads on them so that it can grab the particle board, because, you know, most of these back cabinets, when you order cabinets, like the faces are made out of maple, but the back is all particle board, so it really doesn't hold that well. So there's that. Now you'll see if we put the screw in here, see how far we can shove it through to the teeth grab. So we're all the way through to there, but now it's gonna grab that last ½ inch. That's what we wanna see. That way it'll suck that cabinet to the other cabinet, you know? Gonna wet the screw so it slides through the wood easier. And there, we got a nice joint. Fingernail's not catching anywhere, so it's good. This was a piece we ripped on a table saw too. That's why we got a little bit of gap here, but it's reasonable, you know. When you do tile, they call that lippage. So tile, you're really allowed a dime of lippage, they call it. So that means 1 dime width is reasonable lippage. Anything more than a dime, you gotta redo it, you know, it's not acceptable. All right, so we're gonna just screw in the rest of these cabinet screws. Cabinet screws, they come in, you know, you can use a Phillips or a square head here. The square head works better. They call it like a Torx head or whatever. So these are a little stripped out because I took them out and had to put them back in. The reason we want these, a lot of cabinet screws in this little cabinet, is going to be holding up this microwave. Like, it sits on that back shelf there, but this cabinet has also got to hold it up. And you notice I got holes in here, and it looks like crap, you know, but it doesn't really matter because you can never see this from the floor. You know, you always want to try to hide as many screws as you can. Helps you with less patching and all that nonsense. All right. So that's that. We're gonna just throw in a regular sheetrock screw in here too. There's probably enough screws to hold it, so I'm not too concerned about the cabinet falling down. All right, so now we had to move everything over an inch. So I moved this outlet over an inch, cut the sheetrock out an inch. Luckily I didn't have to cut the cabinet, so I can still use the same cover here. This outlet's in here because it's for the microwave. Like the microwave's gotta come up through the hole here and plug in. Yeah. So yeah, gonna turn this off a second.